Discretion is advised. Your mama black.
This program contains language and sequences some viewers may find disturbing.
The teen says he acted in self-defense, but still learned a painful lesson.
His mother says there's a much bigger issue to deal with here. 7's Rosh Lowe has this exclusive.
The video is shocking. Two students fighting in a classroom at Palmetto Senior High School in Pinecrest. And then this, one student body slams the other student. The one doing the body slamming is 15-year-old Cedric Berry.
I told him I was in the mood to play today, and he pushed me, so I pushed him back.
What would you say to somebody who says there's no excuse for fighting? I don't care what happens, there's no excuse for hurting somebody and fighting.
It was self-defense.
Cedric is a sophomore at Palmetto Senior High.
People often bully us about the fact that we're not wealthy, and they are, because they come from a different neighborhood.
Cedric and the other student involved have both been suspended for 10 days. Cedric's mom, Erica Jackson, says there's a bigger issue here.
They tend to pick on the kids that come from Perrine area. They'll tell them they can't afford this, or my school shirt costs more than everything you have on. You've been wearing the same thing, you're dirty.
She lives with her son in Perrine, and they go to Palmetto, which is in Pinecrest.
As a parent, I do not condone violence. I don't want my child fighting. And actually, that was the first time he has ever had a physical altercation with someone. And when I look at it, it's very shocking, but you have to defend yourself.
The Miami-Dade School District has not released the names of the students involved in the fight, so we couldn't reach out to the other student involved. This is what the district had to say after the fight, quote, "While the teacher immediately requested assistance through the classroom's emergency call button, we are investigating the incident to determine if every reasonable intervention was implemented," end quote. As for allegations about this being racially motivated, the district is not commenting. There have been no criminal charges in the case. Cedric's family has hired criminal defense attorney Yehuda Brook.
Clearly, once he subdues the person, he moves away and takes himself out of the fight. That is the classic telltale sign of self-defense.
If they Google him, they're going to Google and see that tape of my child slamming someone where in actuality he's defending himself from being hurt. And I don't want that for him. I just want him to be given the opportunity to grow and get his education.
Cedric and his family are hoping something positive can come out of this situation, that there can be an open dialogue about the issues they perceive.
That's a picture of the weapon that the 13-year-old had. This is a replica style gun, and as you look at it from this vantage point with the magazine out of it, you can tell that it's not real. But obviously, if you look at that in a situation with a threat, it certainly could be perceived as a real weapon, real firearm. This year is something we've talked about extensively, the carjackings, the issues with juveniles in general. This has been something we've talked about extensively this year. Earlier this year, in probably our first quarter of the year, the big problem that we were discussing was the bump and run carjackings, bump and run robberies that were taking place. The commissioner, myself, Major Barris, all spoke about those incidents that were taking place, and one thing we said at that time was part of our problem is we're dealing with the same groups of young people that are doing this. And fortunately at that time, many of the incidents didn't involve significant levels of violence, but it was frightening experiences, and some were violent and some used weapons in some of those scenarios. So that's something that we were able to get a handle on and arrest a number of young people who were involved in it, and again, many of which were under the age of 18. As we move forward, we continue to see a little bit of increase in the carjackings, and again, synonymously, we were seeing young offenders as a primary responsible party in that situation. The police commissioner announced a few weeks back the quadrupling of robbery detectives to investigate crimes like this, the citywide robbery unit. And the citywide robbery unit is tasked with investigating cases of carjackings. So That's being done in order to have a lot more continuity, knowing that there are trends of people involved in these crimes, and many of them are the same people.
A 13-year-old used a fake gun to try and carjack a man in broad daylight near a park. But the victim fired back with a real weapon. WJZ investigator Mike Hogan is live on the scene at Carroll Park with what we know about charges in this case. Mike?
No charges are pending, Denise. We can tell you the 13-year-old remains in critical but stable condition. A 13-year-old remains hospitalized after police say he, with a group of young people, tried to carjack a 73-year-old former Baltimore police officer in Carroll Park using this replica gun. The former cop shot him in the head.
If he gets in a position where we charge him with possessing a replica gun, that's actually a really good day for him, because that means he survived and he's coherent enough to answer the charges.
A witness says the gun looked real, and he saw the teenager end up right here on the pavement after the shooting. He says both boys and girls were in the group with him, and many of them ran over here and hid in the rail cars. As he attended to the 13-year-old, he screamed at them, "Why don't you come back here and help your friend?"
None of those kids stopped and called 911. They ran and got out of Dodge.
There is something radically wrong with our juvenile justice system.
Just 3 weeks ago, former City Councilwoman Ricky Spector was punched in the face during a carjacking in Federal Hill, also involving a 13-year-old.
If they had gotten my car, they would have hurt somebody. They would have killed somebody.
The number of carjackings in Baltimore City has more than doubled this year, with arrests involving juveniles up 70% and adults up 20%. And fake guns have become such a problem, the City Council banned them.
I'm the unit that called in 911. It's a juvenile male. He shot in the leg and the arm.
A detective shot a teen with a replica gun in April. Police say tragedies like these should serve as a lesson.
It's not fair that a child has something like that in his hand. And if you're a parent that knows that your child has it, if you're a friend of a parent that knows that a child possesses something like this, do something about it.
Police say there have been almost 400 carjackings in Baltimore City this year, and when it comes to juvenile crime, they say they see the same groups over and over again, and sometimes adults will get children to commit crimes because they know the sentences won't be as harsh. However, there's no evidence that that happened in this
shows
case.
On October 17th, a newly trained corrections officer was escorting an inmate through the Racine County Jail. What happens next shocked Sheriff Christopher Schmalling.
We trained for the unexpected. This was truly unexpected.
Calm at first, the inmate flashes a smile, turns his body away, only to quickly turn around and sucker punch the officer in the chin. Staff quickly responded and took down the inmate identified as 17-year-old Deontay Anderson. The officer received minor injuries from the blow. He was treated and released at a local hospital. He's already returned to work.
He's embarrassed by what happened. He's happy to be uninjured. He feels that maybe he could have done something differently, and we cannot find anything he did wrong, other than just being at the wrong spot at the wrong time with the wrong inmate.
Schmalling explains Anderson, also known on the streets as Snot, never showed any signs of violence while inside the jail. The latest charges against him were for armed robbery with a dangerous weapon and possession of a firearm. However, since this incident, extra security measures have been enforced around him.
He had to be placed into a rubberized room because he was a harm to himself and others as well.
Sheriff Schmalling says inmates attacking officers is nothing new to him, but this particular incident is a reminder to him of the risk men and women in law enforcement face.
This really underscores just how dangerous and important of a job these officers face each and every day.
On the hunt for a smash and grab suspect, police tell us just before 5 a.m. a stolen car was used to break through the front window of a GameStop store. It happened at the Prado Shopping Plaza on Roswell Road. So far, no word on how many games were stolen and no description of any suspect. We'll continue to update you on this developing story on 11alive.com.
Breaking news right now at 10 o'clock. A baby was found in a trash can at a Walmart in New Road. So let's get straight to News 2's Brett Buffington. Brett, I understand we have an update on the condition of that child.
Michael, just talked to the police chief here in New Roads, who told me this little girl is in stable condition here at the Point Capee General Hospital. Photographer Randy LaDuff with me here. Going to zoom in on the front entrance of the emergency room. That's where this little girl is at this hour. She was brought here by EMS just about 30 minutes ago or so. brought here to be checked out. And then as we pan back across the front of this hospital, I'll show you, Acadian has AirMed sitting here on the pad. They are presumably going to take this little girl to a hospital in Baton Rouge where she will be, of course, checked out and evaluated. But I want to get right to the scene at the Walmart here, which is just, if you're familiar with the Point Capilla, the New Roads area, the Walmart, about a 5-minute walk from the hospital, not far at all. You can see blue lights flashing out in front of that Walmart tonight. We just learned new information about this case. That is that this little girl was found inside a trash can inside the bathroom of this Walmart earlier here this evening. Again, investigators telling us right now they're at that store. They are reviewing video surveillance from inside, looking through, of course, trying to gather any evidence they can from that Walmart. We have learned that police here in New Roads have a person of interest, but tonight they are not ready to publicly release that person's name. Of course, we're here outside the hospital standing by for this little girl to be transported from the emergency room to this awaiting helicopter. When that happens, of course, we'll pass that information along. For now, though, we're live in New Roads in Point Capilla Parish tonight. Brett Buffington, WBRZ.
Yes, sir. Not too terribly long ago, New Roads Police Department got called in reference to an infant being left in the bathroom at Walmart. Police officers and District 5 firefighters went to the scene. The baby was unresponsive. The baby was taken by District 5 here to the hospital where she was attempted to be stabilized. This is an ongoing investigation. It's in its infancy. We do have a person of interest. We are working leads. Right now, detectives are on the scene at Walmart. We're working leads to identify the person who's done this and eventually bring them to justice.
Lieutenant, a lot of us not law enforcement experts like you guys are. Can you tell us what your investigators do precisely now that this has happened? What are the steps, without giving away too much of your case, but in an instance like this, what do the police go in and what do they look for to try and find that person?
Basically, we talked to individuals that were on the scene at Walmart. Obviously we look at video surveillance. Yes, sir. Not too terribly long ago, New Roads Police Department got called in reference to an infant being left in the bathroom at Walmart. Police officers and District 5 firefighters went to the scene. The baby was unresponsive. The baby was taken by District 5 here to the hospital where she was attempted to be stabilized. This is an ongoing investigation. It's in its infancy. Yes, sir. Not too terribly long ago, New Roads Police Department got called in reference to an infant being left in the bathroom at Walmart.
I see this every day.
Just let me off the bus right here. Our house is.
You gotta go home. We don't let you off the bus anywhere. Call 911 now. Call it 911.
Oh, yes. Oh, no, I'm with the doctor. Oh, look on my sister.
Hey,
look on
hey,
look both on my sister's head. Get his hand off my eyepiece.
I can't catch you.
Not suck, okay.
You can get your hand off her sister.
What? Oh,
I can't tell you. It's not my car. I can't stop the fight.
Oh, no! Get the fuck! Oh, shit! Get the fuck out of my fucking shit! Get the fuck! Oh,
turn it loose, turn it loose. Turn it loose, Steve. Turn it loose, Steve. I'm going to kill this shit. Turn it loose. Alright. I can't help it. Don't stop swinging.
yes!
You did? You did?
Alright, let's go.
Stop!